This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. The time being 4:45 p.m., I'd like to call the August 27th, 2020 meeting of the Tilton Select Board to order. Before we get started, if you're participating by phone or the GoToMeeting platform, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. The Select Board is meeting at Town Hall and providing access via GoToMeeting and conference call to enable the public to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting. Additionally, there's an opportunity for the public to attend the meeting here in person. However, in order to maintain social distancing, only 8 spaces are available and attendance is on a first-come, first-served basis. Once the maximum limit has been reached, anyone wishing to participate in the meeting must do so remotely. If anyone has a problem with remote access to the meeting, please email web@tiltonnh.org, which will be monitored during the meeting. Selectman Scanlon is not present, but will be joining us. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First on the docket is Senator Bob Guida with a legislative update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm going to focus primarily on reopening, on finances. Those being, I think, 2 things that are most impactful in our communities around the district. A reopening task force met again today. We continue to exceed the criteria for relaxation that the CDC has set. And so the governor will be announcing significant new changes from specific policies over universal guidance for a number of industries and business groups this week. We continue to do very well as far as the numbers of cases of COVID, as far as the numbers of deaths, mortality. Universities and the university system was on a conference call yesterday with Chancellor Leach and HHS, Trish Tilley, who's the number 2 person in public health. They have a very good program. There are a few holes in it. There are some incidents of COVID occurring, and I pushed very hard to make sure that the communities in which those campuses are located will in fact be given the data. HHS is reluctant to do that under what I consider to be a mistaken protection of privacy. If you're dealing with numbers only, there's no identifying data, there's not an issue. I think it's important that our communities know, with 20,000 college students returning to their campuses, that what's going on with respect to this COVID. So that's being done. They're putting up on the individual university campus websites this data and statistics about the number and types of COVID, who has it, as far as the in-town campus housing, on campus, off-campus housing. So that will be good to know. I think that information is good, and it also protects our communities. I think they have a right to know that. With respect to budgetary stuff, we finished the last fiscal year at the end of June, $145 million in the red. There is a silver lining, if you will, with that cloud, in that our surpluses, all those lapses, more than we anticipated. Those lapses were planned to be used in the current fiscal year budget. So I am less pessimistic than I think many. And looking at the numbers yesterday and today, as far as gross revenues, as of yesterday, we were 20.9 million down on the education trust fund. We were 8 million plus up on the general fund revenues. Interestingly enough, real estate is very hot. So a lot of revenues coming in there. Cigarettes and tobacco were up. So our revenue stream is not as bad. We still have a few more days this month. We were down today a total of about $13 million short of what we had planned in terms of revenues for the month. So I think we're not going to be as bad as we were. We're going to have a deficit, I'm quite sure. And so I'm hopeful to be able to help craft the next budget, knowing the ins and outs of what's going on and what's important, what's not. I'd certainly be interested in hearing from the board at another time, if you're busy, as to what your priorities would be. pretty strong consonants with them, but it's always better to hear it from you guys first. As far as block grants, the highway block grant money, I was rather surprised to find, and I'm verifying this, but when I looked at the figures, we're only 4% down on gas taxes for the year, which I found astounding. I'm going to confirm that, and I'll get back to you on that. I'm trying to update monthly as to where we are. Your meals and rentals taxes is statutory, that's set, and so that money will be coming as planned. As far as the road toll, that remains to be seen. I'm concerned about the possibility of a resurgence of schools. Return to school, that's open. It's an open question right now. I'm on the school board tomorrow, and we are opening 2 days a week, actually 4 days a week, 2 on, 1 cleaning day Wednesday, and 2 Thursday and Friday. The contingency that, of course, we have the fallback to remote learning, which we all learned over the past spring. Again, our figures as far as the incidence of COVID-19 throughout the state, and especially in the north here, is it's very good, and it exceeds the expectations that I expected to see. Really beat it down. I think there are only 8 people in hospital for COVID-19 today. I'd just be willing to take any questions on anything that's of importance to you.
Is there anybody with a question? Peter?
The school board decision, 2 on a cleaning day, 2 more. What's being done Wednesday that's not being done the rest of the week? Because to me, if you've got the ULV sprayers and you're doing that, you should be able to run 5 days. And to me, 5 days with the students there are better than 2 or 4, depending how the hybrids work, because now you're sending them to another spot on that off day. So,
Well, again, this is our local school board decision.
right.
And that Wednesday, we're going to do what's called a deep clean, as opposed to a less deep clean. That would be ordinarily daily stuff. Then we're going to go through very thoroughly, clean everything on Wednesdays. That's our school board decision.
Okay. I just find it interesting.
Are there any legislative questions that?
I don't know if it's a legislative, but it's a question. It's a COVID question. So other states allow, outside of New England, allow New Hampshire residents to travel to those states. But the state of New Hampshire doesn't reciprocate that. What's the reasoning behind that?
I think we allow out-of-state folks in.
No. I'm a New Hampshire resident. I want to travel to New Jersey. Jersey is welcoming me with open arms, says I don't have to quarantine. I come back from New Jersey, the state of New Hampshire says I need to quarantine for 2 weeks.
That's the HHS decision. Nothing that I, as a senator, have oversight over. But I will tell you that I've advocated very strongly, along with Representative Lang, for the 2 leading advocates of advancing the relaxation of restrictions. That's a decision that the governor makes with the assistance of HHS. Reopening task force, we make recommendations. And so I'm happy to bring that up. We had a call today. To bring it up next.
Well, it doesn't, it pertained to me a couple of weeks ago, but now it doesn't because I couldn't go to what I needed to tend to. So.
Joe, I believe if I saw a headline correctly recently, the CDC is really going back on that 14-day quarantine. So that may be changing.
It's a very fluid situation, and it's changing almost day to day. Unfortunately, it's tough to keep up with. Our focus is on getting. We've lost 446 businesses that are permanently closed since as of last Thursday.
How many residents are permanently dead?
It's between 300 and 400, I think.
And I grieve the businesses and I grieve the dead. This is a difficult time we're living in. I do have one legislative question. You mentioned earlier that the governor was going to be reverting to universal guidance. Where does the universal guidance come from specifically?
That's been developed with HHS and the reopening task force. What we had was a bunch of different industries with different requirements, because the restaurants are different than movie theaters are different than truck stops or whatever. So But we found that in all of those areas, there were certain things that were common. Social distancing, masks, hand cleaning, and that type of thing. So universal guidance is basically a condensed, common set of standards that instead of using specific standards for each industry, as things get relaxed, we bring them into the universal guidance. It's much easier to deal with that instead of having a long book for every industry. So it's just a condensed version of less stringent requirements.
Selectman Scanlon, welcome. And do you have any
Thank you.
questions for the senator?
No, actually, I've spent some time talking with Senator, went over a bunch of different subjects and some things that are important to Tilton. I'm good.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
I actually have one more. This is affecting several people that I know. It's just with unemployment. People that work in school districts that have a contract, but they also have summer jobs. They're not able to get unemployment because the state says they have a contract, but yet their summer employment isn't open because of COVID. I know several people in town here that work in our school district that they work in the school, they have a contract, and then they have summer jobs at Bank of the Hampshire Pavilion. There's several of them, which is not open, and they were told to apply for unemployment, but they were denied unemployment because they were told that they have a contract, so they're not eligible for unemployment.
I'm happy to look into that. I can't give you an answer now, but I'm certainly happy.
I would, the answer to that is if you're talking like teachers, it's an annual contract that's paid out over a certain period of the school year.
No, these are non-teachers.
Okay. But they also have, depending, there are contracts for custodians and for paras, and also they do have some contracts that would probably, you have to look into to see that's what's probably causing the.
Well, they're 185-day contracts, so they're not like teachers. They can't spread out their pay over the summer, so they work summer job. A lot of teachers do that too, but it may not affect them as much. But these are people that work outside. I'll contact you via email or something.
Give my office details.
Yeah.
Sure.
Griffin's great at it.
Yeah, he's good. We'll find the answers.
All right.
Okay, is there any comments from the person who came to the meeting? Okay. The Senate, I understand you have a presentation.
I do. One final comment, if I may.
Certainly.
Caleb Hill Road has not slipped my consciousness. So in the event that I am successful, I will be bringing that back and getting it back on.
It's got a lovely Band-Aid on it now. Smooth as glass for now.
For now.
Until March.
Might last a year. Catherine?
I'd like to read a letter that I drafted, which is utterly inadequate to expressing what I feel, what I'm sure that you feel, to a former member of the board who continues to serve the community and has for many, many years. So this is to Catherine Dawson. Dear Catherine, please accept my sincere congratulations on your retirement after 19 years of faithful service to the town of Tilton. Over the years, you've played an important role in many town projects, positions, committees, and boards. However, your 19 years of service as Tilton's longest-serving selectman truly demonstrates your loyalty and commitment to the town and its residents. Your methodical approach to detail, your willingness to listen, your relentless pursuit of better outcomes for Tilton not only improved the lives of many, but made you an extraordinary role model for others to follow. Though you may be retiring, I'm quite certain you'll continue to find ways to remain engaged in making Tilton a stronger and better community. On behalf of the New Hampshire Senate, please find and close the Senate resolution recognizing your years of exceptional dedication and commitment to the people, business, and institutions that make Tilton their home. Thank you for the countless hours you've given, your readiness to assist, and the example you've provided for the citizens of Tilton. I wish you the very best for your future. Honored to represent you, Bob Dyden, State Senator. Good answer. Hampshire Senate, a resolution, be it known that the New Hampshire Senate extends its congratulations to Catherine Dawson in recognition of her 19 years of dedicated and exceptional service to the town of Tilton. Be it further known that the New Hampshire Senate extends its heartfelt best wishes for a happy and healthy retirement. Under my signature.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator. Nice job, Catherine. Woo, everybody.
Good night, Catherine.
And she's up.
Donna Rhodes. Would you like to step forward so we can get you on the camera? Over here. Over here.
That's different, even that side of the camera.
Yeah. No. Come on over here. I just want to give you this certificate of appreciation for your years of dedication to reporting the good news from the town of Tilton. The certificate of appreciation is presented to Donna Rhodes for her amazing dedication to the town of Tilton, reporting on events and important issues that kept our residents well informed throughout the year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't take care of the
Which
I'll give you one of these.
Thank
All right.
you all.
Thank you.
We already missed you.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, moving right along. Officer Glenn, are you on the line?
She's due to be on at 5. It's 5:01.
I don't see her.
Okay,
Okay,
so.
Uh, moving next,
Well, you actually have your minutes and then the donation.
yes, moving next. I move to the floor, the minutes of August 20th for discussion. Are there any changes to the minutes as they were sent to you?
I had one. Hold on just 1 second. Under Selectman Constantino, and then Joe Jessamine mentioned the issue with the electricity issues at last week's Island Concert, and then he thanked Chuck for, excuse me, for providing a generator and everyone involved with getting the music back up and running. I didn't see where it was, and I didn't see it under Jeannie's report, unless I missed it, that we were getting an electrician to fix the issue. Now, I know we talked about it.
We did talk about it.
Okay, that's good. Put it in.
Did you hear that, how that worked out?
Yeah, it didn't work.
No, Josh forgot to send anybody over. On Sunday, the chief
Right.
called Josh. Josh sent a guy, but Titus had already fixed it.
Okay. So I got the call too, after you got the call, and
There
after
you go.
Bob got the call. Then I called Jeannie. How many calls did you get, Jeannie?
Joe? Oh, Josh did not call me back.
Well, that's disappointing, but that's a separate issue for another day. Just as an aside to this, no, I'll bring it up under my section. Are there any other changes or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, I make a motion, we accept the minutes of August 20th as corrected, as amended.
Constantino second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? There you have it. Officer Glenn, are you on the line? Okay, technical difficulties. We have acceptance for one. You have the amount or the
Do you
paperwork?
have the letter attached to the back?
I'd like to think I do, but, oh, it's actually, there we go. Terrific. All right. Chief, would you like to say about this, please?
Sure. So the.
Why don't you sit here, because
So we can
Gail's
hear the
got
mic.
Take your mask
Hey,
off.
Gail.
Chief, take your mask off and speak to the mic.
So as part of getting ready for the move into the new station, Noel's been working diligently in the evidence room, cataloging stuff, getting stuff ready to.
Chief, this is not the chief's report. This is accepting a donation from the Napoli Group. And would you speak to the, I want to keep everything in its place, buddy.
Yes.
It's the donation from the Napoli Group. Would you please explain that?
Sure. So Peter and Sal Napoli are the owners of Napoli Group, which owns our McDonald's. It was one of the first restaurants we went off exit 20. They love Tilton. They love the work that we do here. They feel like they're part of the community. And so when they heard about this, they reached out to us and offered to make a room donation towards the new station. And so they mailed off a check and they're happy to do it. And we're very grateful for all they've done for us and appreciate their support.
Thank you very much. I would make a motion at this time to accept the check for $5,000 for room sponsorship. And they'd like the fitness room, please, is what it says, from the Napoli Group. Is there a second?
Constantino,
We have several seconds. Is there any discussion? John, Peter, Pat, Eric? Excellent. Thank you to the Napoli Group. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It carried.
Thank you.
No, thank you ever so much. Okay. Moving on. Officer Glenn, did you make it? Okay,
I
Captain.
don't see her yet, but I did text her.
Okay,
And just in case she couldn't get on, the captain's been working with her down there.
if she comes on, we'll take her. Captain, would you like to give the presentation in the interest of moving on? No? Why?
Well, we're coming.
About evidence?
I heard the presentation from Officer Glenn. It was excellent. I just thought, I invited her. I wanted the board to hear it from her. I know, I guess there's technical difficulties. We'll settle for the captain. Sorry, Captain.
Right up here at the mic.
And if Officer Glenn joins us at any time along the way, she can tag team and jump right in.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, Officer Glenn, could you please, Captain, could you please explain the,
There's a hair difference here.
hey.
So we're looking to get this IMC barcode scanner. It helps with tracking evidence because when we take evidence and we have to physically enter it, and then, which we would have to do anyway, but then you can assign it a barcode with this. And then after that, tracking it would be much easier because when it has to move from like evidence to court, evidence to state lab, you have to track it every time it goes in and out. So you can know where it is. Frequently, we have things going and coming from state lab. So a lot of stuff is in, a lot of stuff is out. Sometimes things get duplicated, like request to send it to state lab when it's already down there. And we're like, hey, someone forgot to put it in there that it was updated and it's already taken. It was scheduled to go, it went, and it wasn't updated. So with this, it's just a simple, once it's assigned a barcode, you scan it out, and you can have a barcode for state lab, you can have a barcode for a court, you can have a barcode on the bin that it's in. So you can really track it quickly and easily, so you know where it is at all times. And then when you're purging evidence, you can log into the case and then scan each item in the case, because usually there's more than one piece of evidence for cases, especially drug cases. And you can purge all that out at one time. And it wouldn't require going to multiple screens and multiple entries. It's just.
Captain, is that to say that we don't necessarily know where the evidence is at any given time? We know where it's supposed to be now.
Right. So what sometimes happens is an officer will duplicate work. So they've done transmittal slip. Transmittal slip is a copy goes in the case file, and the transmittal slip is also given to the evidence tech or myself to get the evidence out, to pass off to the detective, to take to state lab. And then when the detectives take it to state lab, they need to update that it's gone to state lab. Sometimes it doesn't get updated that it has gone to state lab. And then another transmittal slip comes through, pull this evidence. I go looking for the evidence like a month later, like it's not there. Like, okay, let's call state lab. Oh, it's already at state lab. So we just had a little issue where we forgot to update. This would prevent that.
Sorry to interrupt.
So this
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry, I did interrupt.
Okay, so this would help prevent repeating effort that's already been done, that we know it's where it's supposed to be. And it would make it a lot more efficient. Like right now, Officer Glenn has been going through purging a lot of the evidence, or trying to. She's put together several lists that have to go to the county attorney, that have to get approval through the county attorney's office for destruction of evidence. Once that's approved by the court and the judge up at the district court level, then we can get rid of that evidence. So until then, we have to hold it. Once we get approval to get rid of it, then we can take it to a incinerator, dispose of it properly, and that frees up space. It frees up, we get it out of our data system, and we don't have to worry about it. But until then, we have to track it as long as we have it. So the whole idea is to make it efficient, effective, and I think it would be very helpful when we do go to move. We now are tracking everything from old PD to new PD, and we know where it is, what shelf it's on, what bin it's in, and what case it's assigned to.
Okay, that's it.
That's all I have.
Okay, is Officer Glenn on the line? Okay, are there any questions for the captain? Jeannie?
I just have a question of clarification. Are you proposing to buy the scanner, or do we already have it?
So, so IMC is broken into different licensing, different compartments of their software, and that's one compartment area that we don't have. We can enter property, but we don't have the barcode scanning for property, which is a little bit extra cost. And then the scanners, I guess, are about $120 each. So
is there a license fee with this?
I believe so, and I believe the chief has the pricing.
I'm sorry, I thought that this was a presentation on how she did evidence. Is this, are you asking, I'm just trying to understand.
Right, it is supposed to be a presentation on how she does evidence. When the chief came in, and I believe it was with Buck the last time that they came in, they asked us to purchase this. There were a lot of unanswered questions on what the scanner would do. And I had a brief conversation, I think down in just downtown talking with her. The evidence, she broke out of the evidence when I was actually walking the downtown. And that's how we got on the conversation. And there was a world of knowledge that I didn't understand that was being done to the evidence, and that needed to be done to the evidence. A lot more information than what was spoken when the chief and Detective Buffington, Sergeant Buffington was here. I said, we need to hear that, because we didn't hear that information, nor did we hear the knowledge of the information on how many years back that the evidence room hasn't never, ever been purged. It's been years and years and years. And so I felt that it was really important that the board hear what the actual evidence technician has to go through and how her life would be different if we had that scanner. Not necessarily to buy the scanner or to say, oh yeah, we need that scanner, but to make a difference in what would be an important part of the chain of command and chain of custody all the way to the court system, from evidence in the room all the way through the court system, would be important. And we're not hearing that. We never heard that part and that side of it. And so I thought it would be very important for her to explain that to you. And I don't think we're hearing that.
Not that, no.
From Captain. And I thought, to me, it's very relevant, particularly in these days when a lot of the chain of custody and chain of evidence is being challenged in our courts.
Right.
It's important to have those kinds of things.
Right, and Noel's been doing a great job down there. And the idea of like trying to get this barcode system is, we have had to do this purge for this move, because we don't want to move everything we don't need.
Right.
And she's been doing a great job down there, and our evidence room was full. It's kind of like its own monster down there. And so nobody really wants to do it. And luckily we have her. She's very organized, and she's really working hard on it. But when we go to the new PD, we want to not repeat what we're doing here at the old PD. We don't want to get overflowed with evidence. We want to be able to keep it purging as we go. And by having the barcode scanner, it would make it more efficient, or it wouldn't take as long, wouldn't take as much man hours to do that. We can try to make it as efficient as possible and purge that stuff out as it goes, not when we have the manpower to do it, to physically enter and key it in and key it out every time.
Okay, no, I understand. Will Officer Glenn be joining us on any level?
She's out of state.
I would really love to put this.
Okay.
I think it's really important.
Why don't we do this
Another
2
time.
weeks from now, Jeannie? I'd love to hear what the process is as well. Not that you're not informative, Captain, but you can't answer the questions that we want answered
Just imagine that
specifically.
she's worked 8-hour days or 10-hour days in the evidence room for the last 3 or 4 months at least. And she's just the tip of the iceberg getting to where she needs to be. Just a portion of the way she needs to be effective in the new PD. That's a lot of man hours. And so put it all together. I'd really love to hear from her again.
Okay, well, thank you, Captain. John?
So this is the software, so we'll need a computer to run it on, right? This is only that computer?
It's part of our IMC software system, just like a module in addition to what we already have. So it'll work with our records management system.
And a barcode printer?
So I believe it would print on any label printer. You can print your own barcode.
So we'll need like a label printer.
Right, I mean, we're using label printers now, and probably they're not that much, so, but it would be advantageous to have a label printer down in the other evidence, so take them out from one evidence.
It's not running up and doing it on a printer upstairs or something. Yeah, oh, across the hall.
Right. Yes. So yes, a printer would be advantageous, and the barcode scanners themselves, just so scan it outside evidence and then one inside evidence, so they can match it all up.
Okay, unless there's other questions for the captain, we're moving on, and thank you very much, Captain, for being here.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it. Okay. We're only 6 minutes behind. Yeah. Selectmen's report, me, the last concert on the island is scheduled for this Sunday. Annie and the orphans will be doing a salute to the troops. And I don't know if you've ever seen Annie and the orphans, but they're good. They're very entertaining. They put on a nice show, and they have a nice salute to the troops at the end. So come on down, starts at 6. We start making burgers and dogs at 5. The electrical covers on the island is my next subject, and there was apparently one of these things, the pocket clip or whatever, from an ink pen jammed in one of those. Why? Who knows? But shorted it out. And unfortunately, we didn't catch it until Sunday at 1. But once contacted, Josh Carter did indeed send somebody over. It seems like he had forgotten to send anybody. Took the call, yep. But he did send somebody over on Sunday. By that time, Titus had already fixed it, but he checked it, and he checked the grounds and everything else. I'm just wondering, shouldn't we have a cover for those boxes?
Like a lock cover?
Like a lock
A
cover?
locked one or just
Yep.
a cover? There's no
No.
cover at all?
No, it's two plugs.
3 prong outlets.
Yeah, it's the outlets, and I don't know how many there are, 3 or 4 or whatever, where they plug.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there used to
remember
be.
I brought it to the attention because the cover was broken last year.
Well,
We
And they were supposed to
replaced
replace
all of them last year, every single one of them. We double checked them last year.
Well, then we need to put locks on the ones that we've got. There was no cover on that particular one. And if they can just flip it open and stick something in, it keeps out the water and whatever. And I'm just throwing that out there. I think that's something maybe we should look at, so it doesn't happen again. And let me see. That's basically me, Eric Pyra. You're up.
Excuse me, did you want to speak about?
Oh, golly, yes. No, but yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to do. This is my main thing too. I spent time with Chuck Mitchell today, who can't be joining us this evening, but time is of the essence. And you have on the top of the list, I think it's got my name on the top of it because it was a copy of the one that I have, about what the committee has decided. The one thing, I'm not going to read the paper, but I do want to gloss over a few of the things on here, and I would enter a copy of this into the minutes for you, Gail. And that masks are going to be required. The school district requires them. If you enter the building, you have to wear a mask. There's an option for those of you who can't wear a mask or decline to wear a mask. And we will have a separate area set up in accordance with the guideline elections. And you will be able to vote. Everybody will be able to vote. I would still say grab your absentee ballot if you can, but they'll all be voting. We're going to test our AccuVote machine on the 1st at 11 a.m. here at Town Hall. That is open to the public. Anybody who wants to check the machine and see.
What's the capacity? How many people can?
You know what? I really don't know, but if push comes to shove, we can have it at least 8 up here, plus 1 on every corner. So that's another 13. And 1 in Jeannie's seat. That's 14. You think we're going to get 14?
Just checking.
There's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to be in the room in any case. Chuck Mitchell and Cindy and any of you that care to go. I'm going to try and be here because I've never seen how it works. And I would love to see how the machine works. And the absentee ballots will be pre-processed until noon on the 3rd. What happens is there's an envelope inside of an envelope. The other outer envelope will be opened. The name will be read. It goes against the list. If everything else checks out, then the unsealed or the sealed ballot will go in a stack. Those won't be opened until election day. But the pre-process is taking it out, making sure that it's crossed off the list and everything's ready to go. If it doesn't have the signature on the outside, we can tell where people live. We can call them up. And again, this is spitballing, but we'll get in touch with them, allow them to come down and sign their ballot. Because again, everybody votes. The setup is going to begin at 12:30 or so on Thursday the 3rd. And anybody that's available anytime during the afternoon, please come on down and help. I'd love to get the Public Works crew. I think they already have a heads up and what have you about moving tables and chairs and voting booths. We have the entire gymnasium available to us, and Rob Berry and the facilities people, thank you very much. They're going to lay a carpet down, well, the gym mats or whatever down over the entire floor. And that's all that I'm going to release right now. But hopefully, Mr. Mitchell and the committee will have a short and sweet guideline that voters can follow. They'll be handed out at the polls and hopefully to get it on the town website so that
What date
people-
is that again, Joe?
Huh?
What date is
September 3rd.
September 3rd,
is the
which, interestingly enough, is a Thursday. I think that the setup, considering that there's a tent involved, the entire gym has to be set up and whatever. Hopefully we can get in there and do it at 12:30, but I'd really love to postpone the Selectmen meeting on the 3rd, having checked the agenda or the potential agenda. There's nothing on there that's big. And I'm wondering what you think, so that we can focus on this election thing is going to be a thing for sure. The ballot has to go inside. Check this out. They're going to give everybody one of these. Apparently there's a couple of thousand of them already printed. You get your ballot and you go over and then you mark your ballot and then you fold it over. And then you walk up like this and you stick, not the entire form, but just the paper sticking out into the machine. We'll see how that plays out. And yes, they will have plenty of garbage receptacles for masks and gloves. And these ballot things, we're going to have extra tables on site. Rob Berry, I probably mentioned the Rob Berry thing. He's been a tremendous help. Is there any? Oh, and the second part of this is that these are, I think you've got a copy of this. This is the selectmen's duties in a election. And we've discussed this over the years, the selectmen are supposed to do this or that, but I'd never seen these. So now that I got a copy of it, I don't know how many of you had, maybe you guys have all seen them and I'm the only one, but I thought it might be a good thing if we all had them, just in case there was any questions about what are the duties and responsibilities of the selectmen.
I believe I sent that to all the selectmen.
Yes.
Outstanding. And you should have a copy? Yeah. Okay. And that, I think, is the end of my,
So Joe,
yes.
just to be clear.
Yep.
Do we know the first day of school for Winnisquam, they're gonna have the gym closed off?
Yes.
It's the 8th of September, and yes, they are.
So they're not using the gym to welcome the
No, they're not.
entire school? Interesting, okay.
No, they're not. This is extraordinary circumstances and they understand that.
What are we gonna do for the general?
Okay, that remains to be seen.
Are they gonna give us that lead time to set up?
Well, the details, I don't know, but we have the entire gym. Everything along those lines would remain the same. But as far as, can we get in on Thursday? Don't know.
The third?
The reason
No,
why
no,
it's
no,
on,
for
the
November.
reason why the setup is on the 3rd is because Monday's a holiday.
Yeah.
So that's why they're,
Well, more specifically, because the Friday didn't work for some of the people who needed to be there. So we asked if we could get in on the third, and they said yes.
So how much lead time exactly we have, I don't know, but this will make I think, a good dry run for the November election. Last year, we did 600 voters. And I guess there's already 180 absentee. So we'll see. Some people won't come and we'll get more absentee ballots between now and the 3rd for this. And so how many people will show up? I don't know. But we'll have a chance to fine tune some of the things that we think are going to be right and if they're not. Have you spoken with Chuck Mitchell, Chief?
Yeah, I spoke with him last week.
Okay, so you're aware 3 officers on duty that day? I don't know if you've already lined up those shifts, but it seems like Dickie Paulitz might be a good guy. He's a peacemaker. But that's just, hey, a suggestion. You do as you see fit. He is in the past. Okay, that's me. Is there any other questions that I might be able to answer? Jeannie?
I just want to circle back to the question you asked the board to get an answer from the board. The question you asked about was not having a selectmen's meeting on the 3rd.
Oh, yeah. I make,
My last one
Selectmen's meeting?
was that school
You won't be coming to selectmen's meetings?
on time.
Oh, on time.
we can discuss the timing of the selectmen meeting. If we have to meet at 5 to accommodate, I'm okay with that myself. But that's a separate issue.
That's what we're gonna have.
So without objection, we cancel the meeting on the 3rd and concentrate on finishing up the setup. John? Peter?
Pending no, if some rabbit jumps
Hey,
out
if
at us.
something really weird comes up, we will have a meeting.
Yeah.
Peter?
I'm fine.
Eric?
good for me.
Yeah, well, something.
Okay. So that's on the 3rd. And there was also one more request that not so much on the September 8th one, but on the November election, having the polls run from 7 to 7 instead of 8 to 7. As you might recall, and in the 2016 election, there were like 2,000 people that showed up that day.
What's the date of the November 2nd?
I want to say the 2nd, but I don't know
Third.
that.
Third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without objection,
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
November
November
election
9th is going to start at 7 o'clock. And let's make this official. I'll make a motion to open the polls at 7 a.m. on November 3rd for the election. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Selectman Pyra. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Eric Pyra, you're up next.
Thanks for the nice lead-in, Joe. The only thing I had is I was just going to comment that when I drove by the concert on Sunday, there was no one blocking the handicap bathroom and the cones are nicely set up. So thank you, Mr. Jessman. And that's all I have.
I've been working on that for a long time. It worked out this week.
It worked out.
Okay, next on the list is Selectman Scanlon.
I'm all set.
Okay, we have a pass. Next is Selectman Constantino.
I'm sorry, I do have a couple of things.
Oh, don't be sorry.
First off, the executive committee met today and I wanted to mention that we wanted to shout out a warm thank you to Joe Jessman for all the work that he's done at the concerts to benefit the senior center with the food. So thank you, Joe, benefiting the senior center. I met with Northfield Selectmen Tuesday evening about the buses. They were very receptive to coming up with some type of memorandum of understanding. In doing so, in my presentation on the way out the door, Ken Robichaud, town administrator, asked if he could attend our executive board meeting today, and he did. Took a tour of the senior center, joined in on the executive board when we were talking about the buses and the protocol and so on and so forth. Had some very good ideas, very receptive. It's going to take that back, come up with some type of a contract so that we can get us involved in picking them up. So that was on a very, very positive note.
Outstanding.
So with Jeannie's help in Jeannie's with meeting with Ken, we can come up with some type of program. There were 3 ideas that were thrown out with the executive committee. One was a straight fee, like Tim had suggested, sort of like if we know what it's cost us, what it costs for in-state independent living, how much it costs for gas and maintenance, but you have to know that they use the bus every single day. We're not using it every single day. We're using it like twice a week. And it cost about $2,500, so we could split that up and say an X amount of dollar amount, but then if they only had a dozen to 2 dozen people, would that be okay? The next option would be to have a donation-based pickup to cover the gas and maintenance agreement. And then the third option, which was a suggestion with Ken in the executive committee, was to have a donation fund specifically for gas and maintenance, for ridership, I should say. It would cover the gas and maintenance from businesses and communities, minded people. So there was 3 different options. But we'll talk about it in our little meetings aside. I put in a work request because we can't get into our middle door in the outbuilding. The floor has expanded a little bit over the years. There's a hump and I couldn't knock it through. It's just needs to be cut off a little bit on the bottom. So I put in a work request for hopefully Kevin to get to it. And then there was one other request I can't think of this, I'm sorry. It's just fast.
Time change.
What's that?
Did you want to discuss the time change?
Oh, so I met, well, on a personal note, I met yesterday with the school changes, and they don't really have any answers to the situations with COVID and school busing and how it's going to work out and what the routes are. We don't even have a route, and school begins September 8th. But with special needs, the capacity is 50%, which means that we'd be making double runs, which means that we'd be making double runs on the other end of it. So I don't know how it's going to work out with the possibility of coming in at a later time, on Thursday. Is a great possibility right now. So they have no idea. They don't have the route because it changes daily, because they're still working out the whole COVID protocol for special needs. So I'm just going to give you a heads up. I was going to try to give you a heads up next week because we should know something Monday or Tuesday, but we're not going to be meeting, so I'll be emailing you.
Okay, we can discuss the meeting times at the following meeting.
Usually the first couple of weeks of school, it kind of changes and then it settles into a pattern.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm meeting with Samberton on September 2nd. That was the other thing I forgot to mention.
Same thing. with the buses?
Same buses, on the buses. Samberton Selectmen at 5 PM on September 2nd.
Thank you very much for your help with that.
I don't want to say no. It's very heartbreaking. When you, all of the calls so far have been, with the exception of one for a doctor's appointment, all of the calls have been Northfield. And with one being Tilton so far, and it's heartbreaking to say no. I just want to hang up the phone and say, yeah, I'll take you in my own car, but I'm going to be working those days, so I can't. It's heartbreaking to say no.
Do we still have a volunteer driver program?
It's somewhat static. Can't really depend on it because it's out of cap now, and cap is limited in drivers, particularly with the COVID. People aren't going to be out driving.
Yeah.
So they most often have to say no rather than yes.
Especially to the doctors, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
is that it?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Selectman thought.
About the only thing I had is there's one of the flags close to where Selectman Scanlon lives that seems to get hung up in the pole by the telephone wiring and all.
I've seen it.
So I don't know if that one maybe needs to be dropped like 6 inches or something, or take something to file the pole if it's catching where they hit it with the, when they climbed with boots from back in the day.
I'll have to look at that one, but I know we dropped some poles because they were catching, and then we were notified by DOT that they were too low and that trucks were having to go around them. I don't know if that one that you're talking about, if that's the case. So we had to move them.
We'll have to change them to checkered flags and they'll be okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Is there any public comment? Or Officer Glenn, did you ever join us? That's a no and a no. Okay, next up, Jeannie Forrester, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to be quick so we can be on time. I just wanted to follow up with the board on attendance for the September 3rd in preparation for the election. Is there anyone, I know that Joe responded back that he would be able to help and set up, and now that we don't have a meeting on the 3rd, I will be helping as well because I think you focus all my attention on that. You can help on the 3rd? Okay.
Yeah, I respond.
Is it at night?
No.
It starts at 12:30. Now, it ends when we get it set up, but I don't know what that
After
looks
4
like.
o'clock, I'm available. After.
I think
Come
we'll
on
be
up.
done by then.
There's a tent to set up outside, and there's
Well-
tables to set up inside the tent, and I don't know who's setting up what. I don't know what time it'll get done. I really don't. This is,
I
I
was
will
just in
walk by.
talking with Chuck. I think the goal was from 12:30 to 3.
okay, well, Give a call, Eric.
Call.
I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna do it right
Jamie,
now.
too, the breakdown needs help all the time too. It's at the after the election.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
If you can't make set up, you can always help. break
Can
down.
always help break down. And this will be a bigger breakdown thing too.
so in terms of helping with the setup, it's Joe, Pat, myself, and everyone else.
Public Works.
Public Works, yeah. Okay. And then attendance at the February 8th election, did hear from Pat, so we've got her all covered, and I've heard from Joe about the day, and Chuck is asking, just he wants to know what coverage we have for the select board. So if you haven't responded to me, if you could, because Chuck's asking me, he wants to know. If you could let me know, that would be great. I'm not going to go through the FYI items other than that first one, which was a nice surprise if you read that, about the return of surplus.
Yay.
Okay. And then a couple other things that I wanted to talk with you about.
Let me ask you a question. When it returns to surplus, are we just putting it into the general fund? Back to the general fund? Or are you earmarking it or something?
Well, that's, I think, there are a couple of things we can do when, and I'll talk to Tim about this, because we expect to get the money in November. We can take premium holiday, so it gets reduced from our premium in the next year, or we can take the cash. And we really have to, I think Tim wants to wait till we get closer to that time to figure out how to do that. But if you remember, there are things that we put on hold. For instance, what's really needed up here is air conditioning. And it keeps getting put off, and that is
For
almost, that is almost the amount that's required to do the air conditioning. So just, so I don't know. I think that ultimately will be up to the selectmen.
Well, the same thing with the school too. We're going to be returned, Tim said, a little over 400.
1,000?
Yes,
Get out of town.
that's what he said last week, yes.
How did I miss that?
So the porta potty. Want to find out, when do you want that picked up for the, I guess, end of season? Do you want it picked up after the last concert, or do you want to leave it there till September, October? Catherine had asked me, told her I would talk to the selectmen, and then I would follow up by, so any thoughts on when you want to have that?
Do we have any weddings scheduled?
That's my knowledge.
John?
I have a suggestion, right after Columbus Day, it's usually when the foliage is gone, we don't have people unless weddings or events on the island.
Makes sense.
I think that's when we did it last year.
Okay, so right after Columbus Day.
Mhm.
Then the next question is, we are not having it cleaned twice a week now with the concerts done. It's still, we're back to one time a week, correct?
Right.
Okay. Halloween. Halloween, I asked you all last week to think about that. Did get an email from one of the committee members asking if we were going to do anything. So the town has their own trunk or treat parade that we do. And of course, we did the zombie walk last year. And I know the Parks Commission does their scarecrow event, and then they have the Christmas parade. And I did send an email to Bob Hardy asking if the Parks Commission has discussed this, if they have any thoughts on if they plan to move forward with these events. But back to the selectmen on Halloween, any thoughts on that? Do you want to? And I've also pulled out that I sent out an email to the listserv just to get an idea what other communities are doing. I haven't heard anything back yet, but wondered what your thoughts are, because if we're not going to do anything, I think there are folks who would like to know, because you start planning sooner than later.
I'd like to do something. I don't know quite what it would look like. All masks are required. It's Halloween. So.
So if you're wearing a Frankenstein mask, you're covered.
But, you know, it'd be nice if we could come up with something to, you know, be better than having kids going to door, I think. We could possibly set up a better situation for them. But I don't know what
So
it
would
would
you,
look like yet.
so would you get rid of the town-wide Halloween trick or treating
And just have it, just have the downtown.
downtown?
What about folding downtown into Eric Prue? They have, at the outlet mall, they have that big thing, right?
I don't know if he's gonna do it this year. They like us, if the kids are all wearing masks, I would think they would do it. Theirs is always the Friday night before Halloween.
And we did it on that Friday
Saturday.
night. We did it
Halloween
regularly.
Saturday this
We
year.
did it Saturday.
Saturday.
Oh, Saturday.
Halloween is Saturday this year. My concern is, given how we have a lot of unknowns, how it's gonna travel through the schools, what condition outbreaks are gonna be in, and if, you know, if we're in a, you know, if there's, God forbid, you know, 100 people in town that have it or something.
Well, and the other issue that was brought to my attention was that, so if no other community is having Halloween,
Oh.
we're having.
We're gonna get a parade.
Yeah. Peter?
Live free or die, I say we have it. If you're concerned, look at Johns Hopkins data, the 5-day new case average and the 3-day rolling average on deaths. They've been dropping for months. It's like, I keep hearing about all these school positive tests, but when I look at Johns Hopkins, the data is doing the opposite. So, you know, the trend line has been negative for a while, especially on the deaths.
Do you happen to know, Chief, if they're planning to do the trunk or treat?
So I've already got answers from some of the parents, they want to do it, and I told them, let them know. So there's interest in doing it.
Oh, I'm sure. I hate to say no on a thing like Halloween. I really do. I mean, this is all about little kids, like canceling Christmas.
We've given up so much and mask is required anyway. And they have a mask for Halloween. I just, you know, I think that if we can find a safe way to do it, I don't think that we should do the house to house one.
Does
Live
everyone?
free or die. If you don't want to, you don't do it. If you do, you do. It's those that want to hand out candy will let the people know. Those that don't will be lights off.
Don't we have an official,
That's a good point.
don't we have an official Halloween, townwide Halloween? You
Yes.
set the time or whatever.
Right.
It's
If we
usually on Thursday.
officially sanction an event where somebody gets sick, that's not a good look. It's not a good feeling for me anyway. I don't know. And I kind of agree with you, Peter, and you know, you turn off your light if you don't want kids around, but
So the Christmas parade, we give out food. Someone gets food poisoning from it. Are we going to end it forever? It's, you know, the what ifs.
We live in fear. Total.
That's it. You know, if you're concerned, you don't show.
John, sorry.
I'd like to proceed forward with having the townwide explaining that it's up to the parents or their guardians to make the arrangements and the people told them to turn the lights on or off and to take precautions. And if something happens before then, that we have some reason to shut it down if we would. You know, there was a massive surge or something like that.
Is there a second?
I'll second them.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
So it's still able to be canceled if we determine that it needs to be canceled.
Of course it can.
Any vote we do, we can change at a later date.
Mhm.
So this, we're talking about the town-wide
Mhm.
Halloween. And when would that, when does that?
Trick or
Talking about
treat.
Both, correct?
No,
No,
No, John said both.
oh,
John didn't say both.
I didn't,
Okay, we can do one at a time.
okay.
Tell
So
me.
the townwide trick or treat, we're gonna go, well, you haven't voted on it. That's what.
No, we haven't, and the chief sets the time and date ordinarily.
Okay, so townwide Halloween trick or treat, that's what you're voting on
Mhm.
now. Okay.
Is there any other discussion on the matter? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Want to do the other one? Somebody else want to make a motion for the,
Make a motion, we proceed with the downtown Halloween event with trunk or treat and parade as business as usual with the precautions with the COVID, masks are required, so on and so forth. Time to be determined by the chief.
Is there a second?
Is that determined by?
It's usually around 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Just a side note, if he's okay to add, I confirmed on the 30th, they're not doing theirs, so if we wanted to do us on that Friday night, we'll make it clear.
Well, that's up to you according to the motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion about this issue?
We need to figure out the day. I think it's important, and part of the motion to figure out, are we doing it on a Friday or are we doing it on a Saturday? Last year we did Saturday.
You had.
All the other years we've done Fridays along with Hamburg.
My understanding was last year you had a bigger turnout because it was
On a Saturday, right, because it was, we interfaced it with the 150th.
We had the zombie walk.
Right, well, we had a lot bigger turnout on Saturday evening. It was huge,
We did have
if you
a
have
nice.
it on a Saturday,
but a lot of
you're
business.
gonna have the whole day, it's gonna be Saturday, and I think you're gonna have a lot more people here. On Saturday, and you combine it, and that may in turn curtail just through natural, it's gonna do one of the things. You're gonna have a lot less people going door to door, or, maybe more in the village area, you're gonna have a lot more people going door to door.
Do you do trick or treat on the same night as the?
Usually we don't, because you're gonna have policemen are gonna be down here. A lot of us are gonna be down here judging the programs and the costumes and everything, and we're not gonna be at our homes to do trick or treating. And there are a lot of the parents are bringing their kids downtown, they're not gonna be at home. So we usually have it on a different day.
Okay, well, the motion on the floor is to have it. The date and the times can be worked out. Part of your motion was that the chief was going to come up with the day and time.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
That's all I have unless anyone has questions for me.
Hearing no questions from the town administrator, the time being 5:57 PM. I make a motion to enter into non-public session. Just on the back of my, no.
Oh, we have this one more thing in public.
Okay,
It is on.
I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
No, it's this one. I have a special one. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm special. I would like to say that the 10th annual Vicky Virgin Feed the Hungry Food Drive will be held Saturday, September 19th, 2020 at Market Basket here up on exit 20 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we collect food to help stock the shelves at the Northfield Tilton Congregational Church
Food pantry, right.
food pantry. So please plan ahead, and we thank you for your past support, and we look forward to your support this year as well. Thank you, Pat. Okay, the time being, oh, I have a clock right there, 6 o'clock straight up. I'd like to make a motion to move into non-public session per RSA 91-3, semicolon, 91-A, semicolon 3, paragraph 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him, as well as RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, 2C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver or a fee, fine, or other levy, if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant, as well as RSA 91-A, semicolon 3, 2D, as in David, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community. We hope to be back in public session at approximately 6:45 PM. Do I have a second?
Constantino, second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Constantino.
Constantino, yes.
Fog, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Fire, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We are now in non-public session.
This conference will now be recorded.
Time being 8:35, we're now back in public session.
Minutes.
Yep. Wasn't the minutes?
Seal them.
Yeah, I got to seal the minutes.
I answered his question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as the need for the non-public still exists. Is there a second?
Second.
We have several seconds. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any other business?
You had something that you said in non-public, when we get out of non-public, we need to mention it.
Well, it was the discussion about
About this?
that and we decided that was not.
And that we weren't going to actually discuss that until we talk to realtors and
Yes. okay,
professionals.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other business to come before the Board of Selectmen, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you,
Fine.
Jeannie.
8:37, Gail.